accende.
Si accende?
Sì, sì.
Ah, allora succede.
Jembriyet tuh.
Please be seated.
Dear colleague, we start our plenary session now. Yeah, we start our session. Yesterday, I just informed about very good news. You see, we did remove already the site of bomb in Iran from the endangered list. So, dear colleague of the committee, if you allow me, you see, I like to give, the floor to the representative from Iran to say a few words of thanks toward our session. Iran, delegation of Iran, please. Okay. Delegation of Iran, you have the floor.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, all committee members and other participation. Thanks for giving floor. On behalf of my country, especially people of BAM, say thanks and appreciate for all international efforts after earthquake to now. Thanks also to support Japan Trust Fund, Government of Italy, UNESCO Committee, and also ICOMOS. I'm sure we continue this cooperation between us, ICOMOS, and UNESCO Committee members. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have just been informed that consultation are still ongoing on the draft decision pertaining to the state of conservation of Abu Mena. And as you know, consultations are also taking place between concerned parties regarding the old city of Jerusalem. We shall come back to this item once agreement has been reached. And now, therefore, I am asking Mrs. Rosler to present item 7A40. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This item is in section 2 of your document 7A Act on page 75 to 76 of your document in the English version and in Annex 1. You may recall that at the 35th session, the World Heritage Committee amended paragraph 183 of the operational guidelines. So to formally adopt, when considering the inscription of a property on the list of World Heritage in danger, a so-called desired state of conservation for the removal of the property from the danger list. This was already discussed at the orientation session on Sunday. This desired state of conservation is a defined state of conservation that a property must reach in order to demonstrate that it is no longer threatened by serious and specific dangers. And as you have just done yesterday, you removed the property from the danger list, the site of Bam in Iran, actually because it reached its desired state of conservation. Now, we prepared this guidance document, which you have in Annex 1 to your document 7A Act, which is intended to enable the committee to take informed decisions regarding when a property should be removed from or retained on the list of World Heritage in danger. The World Heritage Centre and the advisory bodies are actively supporting state parties concerned with properties on the list of World Heritage in danger to develop such desired state of conservation for most of the properties, including during missions. However, in some cases, the development of this desired state of conservation is delayed by the need of establishing baseline data on the property's values. The World Heritage Committee also requested the World Heritage Centre and the advisory bodies to prepare clear modalities and guidance for the drafting of this very important document. And as you can see in your Annex 1, it also provides some examples which may help the stakeholders and especially also the site managers in working with us on these documents. You can find it on page 77 of the English version, page 81 of the French version, and you have in front of you Decision 7A40. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Rossler, for this presentation. And I now invite the committee members to express their comment. So I see no more comment. I'd like to give the floor to the Secretariat and the advisory body, should they want to add anything before the adoption of the draft decision.
Thank you, Chair. I think the Secretariat has largely summarised this document. I'd like to perhaps just acknowledge Mariam Kenza Ali, who is a member of IUCN staff who's not able to be present here, who undertook a lot of the work to develop this, but also particularly acknowledge a number of the sites that are on the list of World Heritage in Danger, which have been able to contribute ideas and practical experience to making this document a helpful piece of advice. Other than that, I think I'd like to note that we do think we're making progress towards the adoption of desired states of conservation for removal of properties from the list in danger. At the moment, I think for the natural sites, with 17 sites on the list in danger, there are 7 approved desired states of conservation. 6 are now in draft, of which 3 have been considered by the committee. So a relatively small number now do not have this instrument in place. And so we would hope to also see the achievement of all sites with the desired states of conservation adopted and in place by 2016, and in that way to also be very clear about how the committee can advise and support state parties to eventually move to have these sites removed from the list in danger. That's all I would wish to add, Mr. Chair. We hope this document will provide helpful practical advice to those sites that are included on the list in danger at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. If Ikomo want to say something?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We would support the remarks by IUCN. We feel this is a document that's been prepared by both the advisory bodies, ICOMOS and IUCN. We see it as a very positive tool to provide guidance on the desired state of conservation and on the process for agreeing corrective measures which lead to, ultimately, the desired state of conservation, which is a very clear way of expressing when a property might be removed from the World Heritage List in danger. So we see this as a positive support to putting in place a process whereby all the sites that at the moment don't have a desired state of conservation can, as IUCN said, be developing them in a reasonable time frame as a very helpful measure to speed up their removal from the World Heritage List in danger. Thank you.
Thank you. If there is some more comment, if no, I thank you. I now invite you to adopt the draft decision of 37.7a.40 concerning this property. Is there any more comment? I see none. So I declare the decision 37.7a.40 adopted. Now we go to this suspension. Now we move to another issue, the suspension of the rule of procedure. Dear colleague, I understand that the Ambassador, Excellency Ambassador of India, put forward yesterday at the very end of the plenary session a proposal for the suspension of the rule of procedure, particularly Rule 22.5, 22.6, 22.7. I would like, therefore, to give the floor to the Excellency Ambassador of India in this regard. Please, Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We spoke of this yesterday. It's in the interests of moving more swiftly, more efficiently. We spent 40 minutes yesterday on one country. They could have been given the floor. For the last 1.5 years, we have had countries asking for this. We know that there is a growing sense that this is a rule that must be modified, 22.5, 22.6, 22.7. The state parties for whom there is a nomination or there is a potential listing in danger do not get the floor except by asking other countries to ask them questions. This is a roundabout way. This is a system that encourages a degree of hypocrisy that we could do without. Secondly, as we have seen yesterday, by actually giving state parties the floor, you will get direct information. We are not asking for all state parties to get the floor. Only the state party whose nomination it is, or who is affected by the state of conservation report. In this day and age of transparency, of openness, Excellency, Chairman, these proceedings are being telecast live all over the world. UNESCO is committed to openness, to transparency. We must do what we ask others to do. I would suggest, and I have with me the convention as well, Article 11.6. It is not only the rules of procedure. Article 11.6 says, before refusing a request for inclusion in one of the two lists mentioned in paragraphs 2 and 4, the committee shall consult the state party. We do not have a choice. You are bound by the convention to consult the state party. Excellency, what we are suggesting is, please do it at the beginning. Please do it in a way that will save time. Allow the state party concerned, not any other state party, to take the floor, to explain its position. You have given advisory bodies the floor. You have given it repeatedly. You have not allowed the state party whose nomination it is. That is the position. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ambassador. I'd like to open the floor to some other comment because it is a very important issue. You see that will have impact, active impact, you see, on the processes of our session. So, Mali, Japan, please.
Thank you, President. Japan would like to support strongly the proposal made by the distinguished Ambassador of India. I feel a bit strange that there is no opportunity or chance for our state party to express their opinion during the whole process leading to the final decision. just take Egyptian case yesterday. If there is no question, technical question, asked by committee member, what happened to Egyptian case? Probably we made a wrong decision, but Egypt is not allowed to express their own opinion before us. I believe it's not fair. We need more correct information, not only from advisory bodies, but also from our state member, because our decisions are so important to state members. So I would like to say again, all state members concerned should be allowed a chance, opportunity to express their own opinion before we make the final decision. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Now I call up on the delegation of Mali. You have the floor, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, j'ai suivi avec intérêt la déclaration de l'honorable délégué de l'Inde, mais je souhaiterais, avant de rentrer un peu dans les débats, connaître au moins le point de vue du Conseil juridique en la matière, parce que nous sommes un peu dans les aspects institutionnels et juridiques du comité. Donc nous souhaiterions, avant tout débat, de connaître le point de vue du Conseil juridique. Merci.
I invite the legal advisor to make comment on that.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you permit me, I will reply in English. As a matter of procedure of the committee, there are procedures for suspension and for amendment of the rules. Those requests for suspension and amendment have to be made by the committee members in the context of the discussion of an item on the agenda. I understand that the request for the suspension of the rules yesterday was made in the context of the discussion of an item on the agenda, specifically the Egyptian case. In order to suspend the rules, you require a decision of 2/3 majority of state members of the committee present and voting. And it is up to the committee to decide whether it wishes to adopt the proposal presented by India or not adopt it. So you will have to decide through a vote if you wish to entertain the proposal. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Advisor. Now I come to the delegation of Russia. Please, you have the floor, Excellency.
Спасибо большое. Мы тоже поддерживаем это предложение Индии, и я бы предложила это сделать, на эту сессию попробовать. Мы оценим потом, насколько это правильно. И дальше уже будем решать, оставлять это правило или нет. Спасибо.
Thank you, Ambassador. I now call upon the delegation of Senegal, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je pense qu'il y a une unanimité de fait sur le fait qu'il est important de donner aux pays interpellés la possibilité de s'exprimer et de défendre leur dossier. Donc je pense que sur le principe de la proposition faite par l'Inde, je suis tout à fait d'accord. Le problème que j'ai personnellement, c'est le timing. Je pense qu'il n'est pas démocratique, à mon avis, de changer la règle du jeu quand le processus a commencé. On aurait dû procéder au changement avant ou alors attendre la fin de la session pour changer les règles du jeu. En démocratie, il me semble qu'on ne change pas les règles du jeu quand le processus a commencé, parce qu'il y a déjà des États qui seront lésés parce qu'ils n'ont pas eu le temps ou la possibilité de se défendre avec les anciennes procédures. Donc ma proposition, c'est d'envisager effectivement de changer cette règle du jeu, mais à la fin de la session, pas en cours de session, parce que le processus démocratique a commencé. Merci.
Merci, ambassadeur. J'appelle la délégation de la France, s'il vous plaît.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. L'ensemble de ces remarques sont très intéressantes et elles méritent d'être étudiées en profondeur. Comme vient de le souligner le représentant du Sénégal, il nous apparaît extrêmement délicat de procéder à un changement en pleine session. Cela irait à l'encontre d'une sécurité juridique. C'est vraiment une question de réflexion et il faut vraiment donner du temps au temps pour analyser les conséquences de ces changements de procédure. Et puis, n'y aurait-il pas distorsion entre ceux qui auraient été examinés sous un règlement et d'autres avec la suspension du règlement? Donc, en tout état de cause, nous sommes défavorables à ce que nous puissions changer les règles en pleine partie, en plein jeu. Éventuellement, pourquoi ne pas envisager un groupe de travail qui puisse analyser sagement et en toute indépendance l'évolution de ces règles? Pourquoi pas? Mais en tout cas, on ne change pas les règles en pleine remarque, en pleine session. Ce serait contre-productif à notre sens.
Merci beaucoup, Excellence. J'invite la délégation de l'Allemagne. Oui.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. L'Allemagne soutient l'intervention qui a été faite maintenant par la distincte déléguée de la France. On ne change pas les règles pendant le jeu et il y a déjà un groupe de travail prévu sur les règles opérationnelles du comité qui peut s'en occuper. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, ambassadeur. Aujourd'hui, je donne la parole à la délégation de Colombie.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Nuestra delegación ha revisado con mucha atención la propuesta que hace el distinguido embajador de la India. Sin embargo, acoge y respalda plenamente las sugerencias y las posiciones que han adoptado Francia y Alemania. No se cambian las reglas del juego en la mitad de la sesión.
Oui, je demande à la délégation de Qatar de prendre parole.
شكرا سيدي الرئيس. في اللغة العربية يقال ما لا يدرك كله لا يترك جله. ربما صعبة في الترجمة لكن القصد بأن إذا لم نستطع أن نحصل على الشيء 100% فربما نقبل ب60% من الأمر. لذلك نعتقد بأن ما ذكرته مندوبة روسيا وكذلك مندوب اليابان في تأييد السفير الهند نعتقد بأن يعني حجج جيدة ويمكن الأخذ بهذا المقترح وشكرا.
Merci beaucoup, ambassadeur. Aujourd'hui, c'est l'Algérie qui a la parole.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. L'Algérie soutient entièrement la proposition de l'Inde sur le plan du fond. Il est essentiel et nécessaire de donner la parole aux États parties qui ont des dossiers à défendre et notamment les dossiers sensibles qui nécessitent des explications de la part de l'État partie. Il est très gênant à chaque fois que la parole soit donnée à un État partie par le président sous condition. Les règles de transparence l'exigent et les règles comme on dit certains, de la démocratie exigent que quelqu'un puisse se défendre lorsqu'on lui reproche certaines questions. Et nous avons eu des exemples d'États partis et qui ont donné des explications, qui ont changé le cours des choses et les décisions ont été modifiées. Donc nous sommes entièrement d'accord sur le fond. Sur la forme, nous pensons que ce n'est pas le moment de bloquer les travaux du comité alors que nous arrivons à l'essentiel de nos travaux. Nous pensons qu'il faut cependant régler cette question à cette session, lors de cette session. Je demanderai, Monsieur le Président, s'il est possible de demander à la conseillère juridique s'il est possible de reporter cette question au point sur la révision du règlement intérieur qui est inscrit à l'ordre du jour des travaux de ce comité. Merci bien, Monsieur le Président.
Oui, if the advisor would like to respond to the question. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are two separate things. One is the discussion on the document on the question of the amendment of the rules of procedure of the committee and the adoption of possible new rules of procedure for the committee, which entails a revision of all your rules, which is a revision that you do in the context of all committee meetings. This is a separate proposition. It is a request for an amendment, a request for a suspension of the rule under Article 52 of the rules, which means that the committee may suspend the application of any of the rules except when they reproduce provisions of the Convention. So there are two separate procedures, and it's for the committee to decide whether it wishes to discuss everything in the context of the amendment of the rules or whether it wishes to suspend the rule for the purposes of this particular discussion. I hope that is clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Advisor. I think we still have South Africa who would like to take the floor. Please. South Africa.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. I also support it's not working. The recommendation by India to suspend. In fact, what Russia said afterwards makes sense because they were saying, let's try it out for this session to suspend and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then we don't continue with it. Yesterday, I saw some of the sites discussed here. And many state parties, even observers that are not state parties, were asked to make their opinion. But the state party that was involved never did. So I think in order to have some uniformity, if it's standard that on any occasion the state party will be asked, and we try it out on this session and see if it works or not. So when the legal advisor explained about suspension and an amendment, I think the suspension allows us to study whether this will work or not. And when India made their recommendations, they talked mostly about the time wasted. We'd be able to observe whether we have saved time, what are the the results of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Now I would like to invite the delegation from United Arab Emirates to take the floor, please.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. نحن نعتقد بأن من سبقنا من الوفود وخاصة قد أوفوا الشرح في أهمية تغيير هذه القاعدة ليس فقط لمصلحة الدولة العضو ذات العلاقة فقط، ولكن أيضا لمصلحة اللجنة ولمصلحة حفظ الوقت، يعني لأنه إعطاء الفرصة للدولة العضو يوفر علينا وقتا تبذل هذه الدول للمرور على وفود الدول الأخرى وإقناعهم بمشروعية منطقهم. وفي نهاية المطاف عندما تطلب دولة من الدول الأعضاء في اللجنة إعطاء الفرصة للدولة ذات العلاقة نعطيها هذه الفرصة، يعني بمعنى آخر أننا نلتف على أنفسنا. لو كانت القاعدة أن لا تعطى الفرصة نهائيا للدولة العضو في اعتقادنا سيكون هذا ظلما كبيرا، لكن ما زلنا نعطيهم فرصة للحديث. لماذا لا نغير هذه القاعدة؟ نحن ندعم المقترح الهندي للتغيير. إذا كان موضوع التأجيل رفع في هذا الاجتماع واردا قانونيا أو ديمقراطيا كحق من حقوق اللجنة، فنحن نتفهم هذا الأمر ونتفهم تحفظ الدول التي طالبت بعدم تأجيل أثناء النقاش. لكن إذا كان هذا الأمر قانونيا يسمح فنحن مع هذا الاتجاه. شكرا.
Merci la délégation de UAE. Aujourd'hui, j'invite la délégation de Mexico pour prendre parole.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Nosotros nos adherimos a la sugerencia de Senegal, Francia y Alemania por respeto a todos los miembros del comité y a los casos, sobre todo a los casos ya tratados anteriormente y que no tuvieron esta posibilidad. Y sí quisiéramos mencionar, señor presidente, que si más adelante se decide modificar la regla, sería esencialmente para esto: reforzar los objetivos estratégicos, es decir, aumentar la credibilidad de la Convención para garantizar la correcta evaluación y conservación de los bienes y, desde luego, para un fortalecimiento de la cooperación conjunta entre los Estados partes, el Centro de Patrimonio Mundial y los organismos asesores. Gracias.
Merci beaucoup la délégation de Mexico. Aujourd'hui, j'invite la délégation de Irak, please.
نحن ندعم موقف الهند وفكرتها، ويمكن أن يبدأ من الآن، لما لا؟ لأن الآن بدأت حقا الأجوبة على الأسئلة المهمة والمواقع التي في الخطر، وخاصة الموقع المصري، فيمكن من الآن أن نبدأ باتخاذ هذا الإجراء. وشكرا.
La parole est donnée à la délégation de Estonie.
Thank you. Estonia is of opinion that these three rules of procedure that India has put forward for suspensions are indeed essential for our work, because the aim of these 3 rules of procedure is to avoid the conflict of interest. And this is something that we should take great care here in our committee. It's important to guarantee the impartiality and the neutrality of the evaluation system. And our rules and our operational guidelines aim to do just that. And if we were to suspend these rules of procedure, we would send one message, that would be that it's okay for the committee to bend its own rules. And the second message is that it's okay for the state party to plead its case. So why do we have this evaluation system then? In the framework of that, there are opportunities for giving extra information that can be evaluated. But if a lot of new information is given here on the spot at the committee meeting, we need to be aware that it's not possible to really evaluate it. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Excellence. Aujourd'hui, je donne la parole encore une fois. Non. Oui, la parole à la délégation de Mali, encore une fois.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, je remercie le Conseil juridique pour les informations utiles. Mais en suivant le débat, on a l'impression qu'il y a des contradictions. Il n'y a pas de contradiction en réalité, parce que la proposition de l'Inde, elle est bonne, elle concerne tout le monde. On peut être de l'autre côté un autre jour, mais c'est la faisabilité qui n'est pas possible actuellement. Donc nous rejoignons la position du Sénégal et de la France. Et je dirais qu'il y a d'ailleurs un cadre, si vous voulez, de réflexion pour la révision de ces articles-là. Il s'agit essentiellement du groupe de travail sur les opérations guidelines. Donc il y a un groupe de travail qui réfléchit sur ça. Pourquoi ne pas demander, le comité ne demande pas à ce groupe de réflexion de se réfléchir spécifiquement sur cet élément et qu'on en débatte en fin de session, comme l'Algérie l'a proposé. Je vous remercie.
I give the floor again to India.
Thank you, Chair, for your kindness. I just want to clarify, we're not talking about the operational guidelines. We're talking about the rules of procedure. The working group which is being set up is for the operational guidelines. We are talking about the rules of procedure, and the two are completely different. The second issue, and the legal advisor clarified it, and maybe she can clarify it again, that the committee makes its own rules of procedure. It has the power to suspend. This has been used before. Rule 52. Number 3. The Honourable Chair, in his wisdom, in his kindness, does give state parties the floor. We're only asking for that to be formalized and not through a series of questions, technical, non-technical. Eliminate the lobbying. Eliminate the hypocrisy. Let the state parties take the floor. Give it to them for a defined period of time, for 2 minutes if it pleases the chair, for 3 minutes if it does. But do it. You give advisory bodies the floor. You give them the ability to make PowerPoint presentations. Talk about it. Talk repeatedly. You ask the Secretariat to talk. But the state party whose nomination it is, you are not giving them the chance. You're asking them to lobby. You're asking them to go behind the floor. That is not correct. So all I'm saying is that yes, you will change. Firstly, let us not confuse the rules of procedure with the operational guidelines. Secondly, it is possible to do so. It is provided for it. Thirdly, you will save time. Fourthly, you will have a cleaner, more transparent system, which is what we're asking for. Excellency, If there is a consensus on it, so be it. If there is no consensus on it, well, we will move forward, we will waste time, we will keep asking members of the committee to ask questions on behalf of the state parties. The choice is yours. Thank you, Chair.
I can see, you see, we came to a perfect balance. 15 delegations did take the floor, 7 are positive, and 7 are negative, and 1 is not clear. Yes. So, I think I like to commend Excellency the Ambassador of India, you see, to take initiative to raise a very important, I think, amendment proposed to the committee. But according to the discussion we made, you see, we can see that there is a extremely important issue that maybe we need more discussion, you see, to understand in depth, you see, the consequence, the negative consequence or the positive consequences of the change of the amendment. And we notice also that in the agenda and the timetable, you see, there is the item 11 already mentioned, you see, in the agenda about the revision of the procedure. Yes. So I can see 2 options. Maybe we can discuss the item at the item 11 of, I think, schedule already in the agenda, or we can discuss within a working group, you see, to more to understand more about, you see, the importance of the proposed amendment. So the 2 options can be, and we will make decision, you see, in maybe the current 37 session, because we still have 8 days, 9 days, you see, before us. I like this idea, because the idea of change, the idea of amendment is also very important, but how to arrange the change? Some people think that it should be, you see, the intervention of the state party concerning the proposal or inscription by the end of the debate, only one time and for the limited duration, for example, 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Otherwise, we cannot advance. We cannot fulfill the agenda, very heavy agenda, you see. So, but this idea cannot be decided, you see, even I think after listening to the discussion, we come to some idea, but I like that this should be discussed in the item 11, or this should be discussed in more detail in the working group, because we maybe think better to avoid the vote, the 2/3 of vote. Yes, we can get compromise. Now, from both sides, we can see the importance of the substance raised. Maybe we can refer to the item 11, or we can refer to Senegal, please. Senegal, you have the floor again.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je pense à regarder la réaction de la salle et les différentes interventions. Il est évident que l'honorable représentant de l'Inde a soulevé un gros lièvre. Ce lièvre-là, il faudrait qu'on s'occupe de lui. À partir du moment où on a l'opportunité, au point 11, comme vous le dites si bien, d'en discuter, je suggère que par consensus, qu'on le fasse, on gagnera du temps et on le fera avec beaucoup plus de sérénité. Je pense que les décisions obtenues au vote avec des conséquences aussi importantes sont toujours très difficiles à digérer. Vraiment, je suis tout à fait de votre avis et je souhaite que nous allions vers un consensus afin de discuter cette question au point 11. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Excellence. Oui, si on peut apporter l'item 11. Yes. So, dear colleague, I think the idea of consensus seems to be a very good idea. Yeah, if we look into the timetable, you see the discussion on the item 11 will be on Monday the 24th. So we can postpone this decision. This is to be taken later on the 24th with the item 11. So it's no opposition. I can say that it is so decided. Yes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the wisdom and thank you for the guidance. I'm now going to turn to, with your permission, another of the unfinished agendas of yesterday, which is the chair of the working group on the operational guidelines. Honorable Chairman, I recommend that my good friend, Mr. Imhoff, with whom I am very good friends but disagree on everything, become the chair of the operation group on the working group on the operational guidelines. He is best fitted for this. He has served as a diplomat across continents, including in this part of the world. He has the knowledge. He has contributed to the working of the World Heritage Committee in ways that we can only hope to do. With your permission, I'll continue despite the music, Chair. Thank you. Secondly, the task of a chair is very difficult. The chair is the chair. It is an institution. The chair does not have a position. The chair accepts what comes. And the chair, if the chair cannot get the group to agree, refers it to the committee that has constituted the group. I do not need to tell Mr. Imhoff this. I mean, he can tell me lots of things. But I would request that we support Mr. Imhoff, the former Ambassador Imhoff, and to me always Ambassador Imhoff, as the chair of the working group. Thank you, Chair.
So, Excellency, this means that you withdraw the proposal?
Excellency, you have put in 3 words what I said in 30. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir. So, there will be no meeting of the working group of the...
There will be a meeting today at 12:30. Yeah.
You see, so we still have the working group meeting at 12:30. Yes. More clearly that in so doing, you see, Ambassador Imhoff will chair the meeting. And confirm, I think, his election by the working group. Yes. So now we come to. Dear colleague, as for the examination of item 7A on the state of conservation of property inscribed on the list of World Heritage in danger, we will discuss first the report concerning the natural property inscribed on the World Heritage list, followed by the mixed and the cultural property. The 5 World Heritage regions will be presented in the following order: Asia and Pacific, Europe and North America, Latin America and the Caribbean, Africa and Arab states. Finally, as we did in item 7A earlier on, also we reach the relevant agenda item, and in order to improve the transparency of our processes, I will first ask a committee member who has requested some state of conservation report to be open for discussion to take the floor and explain the reason why they felt important to discuss the report. We will keep the debate focused on the specific issues raised. Before we start the examination of the State of Conservation report, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Guy Dibonnet, Chief of the Special Project Unit of the World Heritage Center, to present an overview of emerging trends and general issues related to the state of conservation of World Heritage property. Mr. Dibonnet, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, at the start of your working document 7B add, there is a section on trends and general issues. This year, the following emerging trends and issues were covered in this section: the impacts on World Heritage from conflict and civil unrest, poaching and illegal trade, the establishment of effective legal frameworks for World Heritage, fire and disaster risk reduction, threats from extractive industries, and environmental, social and heritage impact assessments. So I will briefly present the content of these different reports. At this session, the committee will review an increasing number of sites impacted by conflict and civil unrest. However, the examples of Mali and the Democratic Republic of the Congo demonstrate how the Convention can play a role to try to minimize the impacts of conflicts on the outstanding universal value of the World Heritage sites. At the same time, there are clear limitations of these interventions. At best, they can minimize or slow down the degradation of the heritage values. A return of security is an absolute prerequisite to ensure their long-term protection. As discussed yesterday, a key challenge for the Convention is to ensure that the protection of the World Heritage properties is recognized as a high priority for all parties in the conflict, and including interventions and also in interventions by the international community in the context of the many humanitarian challenges faced in such situations. As I mentioned yesterday, with the case of Mali, a significant breakthrough has been achieved in May with a specific reference to heritage protection in the mandate of the UN peacekeeping mission and the request to coordinate this with UNESCO. The World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies consider this best practice, which could be repeated in similar cases. We also discussed yesterday the emerging issue of the sharp increase in elephant and rhino poaching over the last years in several World Heritage properties. In the document, we report on the cooperation between the World Heritage Center and the Secretariat of the Convention on International Trade and in Endangered Species, CITES, to address this issue. The World Heritage Center has received a message from the Secretary General of the CITES Convention, which he requested us to bring to your attention. So with your permission, I will briefly read that short message. Yes, so this is the message from Mr. John Scanlon, Secretary General of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. The CITES Secretariat is regrettably unable to be present in person at your 37th session, but welcomes the efforts of the World Heritage Center to draw attention to the issue of the illegal killing of rhinos and African elephants and the illegal international trade in their products. The links between CITES and the World Heritage Convention are well explained in the section Poaching and Illegal Trade of the working document. Following discussion between CITES and the World Heritage Convention Secretariat in August last year, the CITES MIC monitoring tool was used to carry out an analysis of the elephant poaching situation at World Heritage properties. The results show that most World Heritage properties in elephant range states are being seriously affected by poaching and that the situation is deteriorating in a large majority of sites. Very recently, we had a case for mutual concerns about the upsurge of illegal elephant killing in the Sangatri National World Heritage Sites in the Central African Republic. The conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity found in World Heritage properties requires concerted management efforts on the ground and a robust framework for regulating trade in any products that are in international demand. CITES and the World Heritage Convention can work in a mutual supportive way to deliver these two requirements. The 16th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the CITES Convention in March this year charged the CITES Standing Committee, with support of the CITES Secretariat, to explore further options to strengthen cooperation and synergies between CITES and the other biodiversity-related convention. In the light of this decision, the CITES Secretariat hopes that the 37th session of the World Heritage Committee will endorse paragraph 5 of the draft decision. So this is the intervention of Mr. Scanlon, the Secretary General of CITES. In terms of legal frameworks, several State of Conservation reports indicate that unclear legal frameworks and the overlapping of authorities and mandates for World Heritage properties hinder the efficiency of legal protection. The report highlights that to address this issue, some countries have adopted a specific law for World Heritage, and it is suggested that more specific guidance should be provided to state parties regarding appropriate national legal recognition of World Heritage. Over the past year, several World Heritage properties have been affected by wildfires. This highlights again the importance of disaster risk reduction strategies, which could be systematically integrated into management systems. The Centre and the advisory bodies recall that a specific resource manual on managing disaster risk for World Heritage has been developed to assist state parties in doing so. As reported in the previous years, an increasing number of properties are facing threats from extractive industries. Also at this session, the World Heritage Committee is reviewing several cases. In September 2012, the Africa World Heritage Fund organized a conference on the issues of extractive industries and World Heritage sites in Africa under the title Living with World Heritage in Africa. The results and conference suggest that in light of the increasing concerns related to the impact of extractive industries on World Heritage properties, the no-go principle should be rapidly and consistently adopted amongst all stakeholders. The discussions on extractive industries, as well as many other conservation issues related to infrastructure and development projects, highlight again the importance of environmental impact assessments and heritage impact assessments. In its decision 35-12E, the committee requested the World Heritage Centre and the advisory bodies to develop guidance to clarify the need for environmental and heritage impact assessments of potential developments which could impact the arts and universal value. At the previous session, we already reported on the guidance which was developed by ICOMOS on heritage impact assessments, and IUCN has also now prepared a brief advice note on environmental assessments and natural world heritage. The World Heritage Centre and the advisory bodies note that more detailed joint guidelines are also needed to provide a comprehensive overview of World Heritage Impact Assessment principles and how the results of these assessments can be successfully integrated into decision-making processes for land use planning. They also highlight the need to develop capacity-building activities on this issue. In terms of guidance on management of sites, the Management Natural World Heritage Manual has been recently printed in English and French with support from the European Union and the Government of the Netherlands. The draft manual on managing cultural properties is under development under the leadership of ICROM and will be available later this year. Following decision 34-7C, the World Heritage Centre has also been further exploring the use of remote sensing technology to assess the potential threats to World Heritage properties and to enhance management practices. The working document provides an example on how such technology was used in Afghanistan. And the first international workshop on space technologies for World Heritage was also organized in Beijing in October 2012 by the International Center on Space Technologies for Cultural and Natural Heritage, which is a Category 2 center established under the auspices of UNESCO and by the Chinese Academy of Sciences. The draft decision 37-7 includes recommendations for follow-up of these different trends and issues and can be found on page 12 of the working document 7B Ed and in the English version and page 9 of the English version and page 13 in the French version.
Thank you, Mr. Ribonnet, for this presentation. And I now invite the committee member to express their comment. I give the floor to India.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your kindness. Respected Chair, I would urge a little more kindness. The document that has been presented to us, after this we don't need a meeting of the committee. It covers everything from rhino poaching to the UN Security Council. There has to be some logic to it. There has to be some sense of consistency. I will first take the issue of the UN Security Council. In effect, what UNESCO, what the World Heritage Centre are asking the World Heritage Committee to do is to tell the Security Council about deployment of forces during UN peacekeeping. I would urge that we look at the document. It says, call upon the UN Security Council to ensure that the protection of World Heritage properties is included in the mandate of UN peacekeeping operations. Respected Chair, I think the Security Council should do its job and the World Heritage Committee should do its job. These are two very different things. We have received a document from UNESCO, which tries to explain the background and reasoning of this rather sort of unusual document that has been presented. But the background to this, the discussions at St. Petersburg and before, are about the color of the berets that UN peacekeeping of protectors of heritage are supposed to wear. This is not about deploying UN peacekeeping operations or about defining their mandate. Any such operation has political, legal, financial implications. It's a decision taken in all seriousness by the UN Security Council. I do not understand the logic. Why are we doing this? Why is it that the World Heritage Committee is being asked to take this very unusual step, especially since the UN's own Department of Peacekeeping has pointed out to the World Heritage Center or to UNESCO that this is something that is not possible. This is something which is taken up by the UN Security Council. Let us not embarrass ourselves. Let us not embarrass UNESCO. Let us stick to our mandate. Thank you, Chair. I would urge that that paragraph be deleted in its entirety.
Mr. Ribonnet, if you have comment? No, huh?
No. Well,
no need.
No comments.
Thank you for your comment. So we ask for comment. Huh? No more. I see no more comment. Yes, Agency of Master of Russia.
Уважаемые коллеги, Российская Федерация полностью поддерживает сказанное Индией, поскольку считаем, что главную ответственность за сохранность объектов всемирного наследия должна нести страна, на территории которой находится это наследие. И это наша принципиальная позиция, которая отвечает полностью букве и духу Конвенции 1972 года. И мы считаем, что международная организация, такая как ЮНЕСКО, не должна заниматься этими вопросами. Спасибо.
There is a more comment. Mali, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, je voudrais rappeler une réflexion que nous avons eu à faire hier. Parce que, en ce qui concerne l'état de conservation des biens, des sites du patrimoine mondial, il y a des raisons, comme je l'avais dit hier, des facteurs endogènes que les États partis ne maîtrisent pas et qui ne relèvent pas directement de l'État parti. Je parle spécifiquement des États partis qui sont en état de conflit. Donc il y a des éléments qui ne dépendent réellement pas de l'État parti pour ce qui concerne l'état de conservation de leurs biens. Il y a des conséquences de ces conflits sur le bien. Et j'avais demandé à ce qu'au moins quelque chose soit retenu par rapport à ça. Une réflexion soit menée par rapport à ça. Parce qu'il y a des facteurs exogènes que l'État parti ne maîtrise pas et dont il n'est pas aussi responsable. Et dans la plupart des cas, ce sont ces éléments-là, malheureusement, de conflit qui font que le bien soit en péril. Parce qu'il y a une insécurité dans la zone concernée, il y a une insécurité, il y a même des conséquences désastreuses parfois directement sur le site ou alors aux alentours du site. Je vous remercie.
There is still comment. I see no more comment. I'd like to give the floor to the Secretariat and the advisory body should they want to add anything before the adoption of the draft decision.
The only point I wanted to raise here is that yesterday in the discussion of the DRC sites, it was mentioned that in May, end of May this year, the Security Council decided to include, in the case of Mali, the issue of the World Heritage Sites into the mandate. And it was mentioned there that this was a great success and a great breakthrough for the Convention. So in the case of the DRC sites, this has never been possible to do so, and that's why there was the proposal to build on the very positive experience of Mali and see if this could be done in other similar cases. Thank you.
Please.
Thank you, Chair. I would suggest we not get confused. It is, as pointed out, the UN Security Council that decided, not the World Heritage Committee, to deploy peacekeepers or to deploy forces in Mali. The case is profound. It is genuine. But this is not the place. And you cannot bring an omnibus resolution which says in peacekeeping operations, if there is a specific instance in Mali, in the DRC, the Security Council can, and it does, take action. Please let us not preempt this. This is a case of overreach. This is a case of vastly going beyond the mandate of UNESCO and of the committee. This is extremely dangerous, and it is something that should be scotched at this point itself. This is not to underestimate the dangers. This is not to underestimate the potential of civil unrest to damage World Heritage sites. But this is not the way to do it. This is not the place. Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Any more comment, please? Germany, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, Germany is not a member of the permanent member of the Security Council like India, although we would like to become. Still, we are not talking for the Security Council here. But I think maybe it's the ambassador of India is right to call upon the UN Security Council. I mean, is maybe a bit going beyond our possibilities, but I think we could say we could take on board what just the representative of IUCN has said, that we appreciate that the UN Security Council included World Heritage Sites in the case of Mali into the mandate of the peacekeeping operations. And we would appreciate if in other sites, relevant sites, this would be done as well. I mean, we don't call upon him, but we appreciate what he has done, the Security Council, and we express our wish that this would be in relevant cases done again. Thank you.
So if we have more comment about that, this is a very important issue. Colombia, please.
Gracias, señor presidente. Nuestra delegación respalda plenamente lo que ha dicho la delegación de Alemania. Gracias.
If he is a very important issue, if there is any, please.
Уважаемые коллеги, для того, чтобы нам, наверное, не тратить много времени на этот вопрос, Можно было бы создать маленькую рабочую группу, и, может быть, вот представители Германии и представители Индии согласились бы действительно отметить вот положительный эффект, наверное, миротворческой операции, принятой по решению ООН в Мали и в Конго. Но вот всю эту резолюцию, я считаю, что мы не должны ее принимать. Она действительно обо всем, и непонятно, при чем тут ЮНЕСКО, в принципе, потому что в любом случае это решает Совет Безопасности, исходя из материальных, финансовых ресурсов, обращения страны, а не обращение иной международной организации, которая будет призывать что-то защищать. Особенно в период военного конфликта достаточно цинично звучит защита наследия, когда гибнут люди. Поэтому я предлагаю вот не базироваться на этом предложенном проекте решения, а сделать очень короткое, правильно вот отметив и поблагодарив ООН за эти усилия. Спасибо.
I can see that we can see more and more the importance of this issue. So if we can look into the draft paragraph by paragraph, and we please.
Я предлагаю для того, чтобы сэкономить время, уважаемые коллеги, создать маленькую рабочую группу. Сейчас вообще не рассматривать этот вопрос. Мы поняли позиции, они понятны, мне кажется, все члены комитета ее разделяют. Попросить представителей Германии, представителей Индии сформулировать новый проект решения из нескольких строк. И все, и потом они нам дадут, и мы его примем. А не надо рассматривать этот проект.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. فقط أود أن أقول أننا نؤيد المقترح الروسي. شكرا جزيلا.
If there is no more comment, we can accept we can accept the proposal from Russia. No.
Mexico.
Mexico, please.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. También nosotros apoyamos la propuesta de la Federación Rusa. Nada más quisiera comentar que valdría la pena que este comité tomara en cuenta, en aras de los trabajos que hemos realizado también todos, de la implementación y la relación conjunta con otras convenciones de la UNESCO. Me extraña por qué no estamos tomando en cuenta aquí la Convención de 54 de conflicto armado. Gracias.
I fully agree with the idea raised by Mexico. I would like to inform you that our National Assembly has just ratified, you see, the new protocol of the Convention of 1954, protection of the cultural heritage under the situation of armed conflict. Yes. So I think now we can notice that Agency Ambassador of Germany, Agency Ambassador of India, Agency Ambassador of Russia, and Ambassador of Mexico, Mali also. We need to make a good comment on that. If we can set up the working group, and this working group should not be very big. It should be small and quick and efficient. So maybe we propose to see the ambassador of Germany to chair the group. Oui. Et nous allons commencer à travailler vite ce groupe pour avoir la nouvelle proposition à notre comité. set up set up the tongue.
When they're ready, they come to you.
So maybe we propose like this, Agency Ambassador of Germany, you call a meeting between, I think, this group. And when you get the result, please inform the President about the result of the discussion. So we come to the new. I now invite Mr. Mark Patry from the World Heritage Center to present the report on the state of conservation of the natural property located in Asia and Pacific region and open for discussion.
Thank you, Chair. I'm a little confused. Is this group led by His Excellency the Ambassador of Germany going to look at the whole decision, or is it only the interesting part about the Security Council? Because we seem to be moving on to the next item. It's a very difficult thing to do because after the Security Council comes rhinoceros, elephants, so are we doing the whole thing? And if so, the German ambassador should be informed and we can suspend the discussion on this? Or are we continuing with the rest of the resolution?
You see, we did ask to go on the screen paragraph by paragraph, but Her Excellency Ambassador Russia, Pongdok. That's why I think if we don't go paragraph by paragraph, the only option is to review the text. Yes.
Уважаемые коллеги, мне кажется, что нам не стоит тратить в зале время для того, чтобы всем вместе вести эту литературную работу и обрабатывать вот этот проект решения. Мне казалось бы, что надо, я не уверена тоже, что надо мешать вместе Совет Безопасности и носорогов, поэтому пускай рабочая группа поработает и предложит какой-то, так сказать, проект решения по всему. Почему тут все вместе смешано, сложно понять. Но в первую очередь мы говорим про Совет Безопасности и про использование ООНовских сил для охраны всемирного наследия. Пускай, и может быть кто-то из секретариата тоже поможет, потому что люди, кто писал эту резолюцию, они понимают, что за этим стоит. Поэтому было бы неплохо, чтобы кто-то из Центра всемирного наследия вместе с нашими коллегами поработал. И не надо тратить сейчас время на это. Мы ничего не добьемся, редактируя 15 пунктов. Спасибо.
Oui, nous sommes d'accord avec la proposition de l'ambassadeur de la Russie. Donc, M. Guy Libonnet va travailler ensemble avec le groupe pour arriver à la fin très vite. Et aujourd'hui, nous passons.
Chair, with your permission, could we ask Mr. Debonnet to first clean up the text? Because the confusion came obviously from him or the World Heritage Center. We cannot work with so much. So let the Secretariat prepare a cleaner, simpler draft which covers a limited number of items, and then His Excellency the Ambassador of Germany can take over the group. Thank you, Chair.
Est-ce que M. Dubonnet peut accepter la proposition?
Oui, le secrétariat.
Oui, le secrétariat, oui. Donc nous passons à M. Marc Patry, s'il vous plaît.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So we start with item 7B in Asia Pacific, dealing with the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. The Great Barrier Reef, I'd like to remind you all, stretches nearly 2,000 kilometers along the northwest coast of Australia in the state of Queensland. The vast coral reef ecosystems within its property are particularly sensitive to disturbances in water quality. Major concerns relate to agricultural and urban runoff, with sediments, fertilizers, and pesticides being washed into the sea after heavy rainfalls that are common in the area. The rapid development of Australia's export-oriented natural resource sector calls for new and bigger port facilities, which in turn are a source of further water quality concerns, along with that of increased ship traffic in the property. The State Party reports that urban and agricultural runoff issues are being addressed through various government programs. The World Heritage Centre received new information after the initial State of Conservation report was distributed to the committee members, in which the State Party indicates that the report card on water quality had been received and indicated a slight improvement in water quality. In its response to the World Heritage Committee's decision last year, the State Party reports that no new port developments have been approved outside existing port areas, but adds that within these areas, 43 port-related development applications were currently being considered. Moreover, a 2012 draft Great Barrier Reefs port strategy released by the Queensland Government contains no clear statement limiting new port development to existing port sites, something that the committee had requested. The World Heritage Centre and IUCN remain concerned over the absence of such a clear policy restricting port development to existing port sites. Monsieur le Président, IUCN has further comments, if you allow.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning. The Great Barrier Reef has the reputation as a place that has set standards for marine conservation, and so the range of concerns and current challenges that have been noted in relation to the growth of development pressure and the challenges to the long-term resilience of the reef have been a source of high concern, and they've attracted significant global attention. IUCN welcomes progress achieved by the State Party on some key issues and actions, and including the important new announcement regarding continued funding for the vital reef rescue scheme on water quality, as well as the progress with the strategic assessment. But nevertheless, the level of progress in a number of key areas remains limited, and extreme vigilance and caution is required by the State Party to avoid decisions that could compromise the ongoing strategic assessment in relation to port development threats, including those that exist outside the long-established major port areas. And there remains a clear need to protect highly sensitive, undeveloped areas within the property. IUCN is also concerned about the proposed changes to legislation protecting the property that could have the potential to make it easier to approve some development projects with potential detrimental impacts on OUV. And so the draft decision therefore recommends that the committee continue to request continued progress and to consider inscribing the property on the list of World Heritage in Danger at its next session, the 38th session in 2014. In the absence of substantial progress to resolve the threats to this globally iconic site. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I now invite the committee member to express their comment. Mexico, please.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Estamos plenamente de acuerdo con la información que han dado el Centro de Patrimonio Mundial y el organismo asesor. Sin embargo, creo que sí valdrá la pena también tomar en cuenta que el gobierno de Australia ha estado haciendo un trabajo en sus posibilidades puntual para el programa de rescate de esta gran zona que está repartido y contemplado para los próximos 4 años. Asimismo, han llevado a cabo un segundo informe de resultados del plan de la barrera y de las 23 acciones que nosotros entendemos que se han solicitado se lleven a cabo, se han cumplido hasta ahora 7. Por eso quisiéramos nosotros hacer un reconocimiento al Estado parte por ese esfuerzo que está haciendo para la recuperación de este importante sitio de patrimonio natural.
Merci pour le commentaire. J'invite la Germanie de prendre parole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Great Barrier Reef is for sure one of the most iconic sites on the World Heritage List, and the committee has always recognized the high quality of management on this site. And we certainly welcome financial commitments and progress which has been made. However, quality site management does not in all cases ensure that external threats or decisions taken outside the management authority do not negatively impact on OUV. So to ensure protection on large sites such as the Great Barrier Reef and others, a joint approach on all levels of government and all levels of interaction is urgently needed. So we're looking forward to see. We know that there is a draft. There are changes to the text. We might intervene to that on a later stage, but we would like to see a firm decision of the committee on that important case. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. I now invite Franz to take the floor. Yes.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Pour aller dans le même sens que ce qui vient d'être dit par l'Allemagne, la France salue les efforts qui ont été accomplis par les autorités australiennes suite aux demandes qui ont été exprimées par le comité. Mais par ailleurs, la France est extrêmement préoccupée par certains projets dont la réalisation pourrait être de nature à remettre gravement en cause la valeur universelle exceptionnelle de la Grande Barrière de corail. Elle encourage donc vivement les autorités australiennes à poursuivre leurs efforts qui, s'ils n'étaient pas suivis des faits, pourraient avoir pour conséquence de mettre en péril ce bien. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Merci pour les commentaires. J'invite la délégation de Suisse.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous allons aussi soutenir nos collègues allemands et la France en soulignant les efforts de l'État australien aussi sur ce site très complexe qui est géré d'une façon remarquable, mais en soulignant notre préoccupation surtout au niveau du développement côtier qui est une menace qui peut être gérée dont on attend aussi un engagement de l'État sur ce développement. Merci.
Merci pour le commentaire. Je donne la parole à l'Algérie, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Donc l'Algérie ne peut s'empêcher donc de saluer les efforts déployés par l'État partie et exhorte cet État donc de poursuivre ses efforts pour réduire considérablement donc les menaces qui pèsent sur ce site. Merci.
I now give the floor to Serbie.
Thank you, Chairperson. We would like also to acknowledge the progress that State Party made, but also we are concerned because, as we are aware, 50% of the coral reef is lost. So there are so many complex threats, and we should continue to force, especially development. So we would like to support what Germany, France, and Swiss said.
I see no more comment. I'd like to give the floor to the Secretariat and the advisory body if they have some more comment.
Monsieur le Président. We have no further comments. Just to remind the committee that this is a revised decision, and it is the first one in your recently distributed package of blue revised decisions.
Thank you. I now invite you to adopt the draft decision 37-7B10 concerning the property. Is there any more comment? Yes. Germany, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as I said in my earlier statement, that we intervene again on the exact text of the draft decision, but we didn't want to preempt the discussion in the committee. I don't know whether you are putting the things up on the screen, but it's in front of everyone, I assume. We support the change or the new paragraph 5, which is in our draft decision. But when coming to the old paragraph 6, we are aware that paragraph talks on two issues. It talks on impacts on water quality, and as if I understood the Centre correctly, there have been improvements in water quality, so we are fine with taking that piece of bit out. But the fact that the ongoing coastal development exists, and this has been taken out here in this paragraph, worries us a bit. So we might seek, together with the help maybe of the rapporteur, to find a way on keeping the concerns on the ongoing coastal developments on the reef and asking for progress by the state party on this regard. And I think this reflects the committee discussion we just had.
Yes, I before asking the rapporteur to take the floor, I invite Iraq, please.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. نطلب من الدولة العضو إعطاء توضيحات أكثر لما قامت به حول الموضوع. شكرا جزيلا.
I'd like to ask the delegation of the state party if they'd like to make some clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We would. Can you hear us? Yes? Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to speak about the Great Barrier Reef World Heritage property. As committee members have noted, the property is extremely large, larger than Japan and larger than Italy, and is impacted by a range of intervening forces, including climate change and water quality as the key drivers of loss of values. But with coastal development being an area where it is possible to make interventions more easily. The State Party of Australia has been addressing these matters of coastal development through the world's largest ever strategic environmental assessment, and so in working through these matters since the decision of the committee last year, it has been our approach to be embedding the coastal development matters and the consideration of those things into the strategic environmental assessment. In the intervening period, as has been noted, we have made a further investment of $200 million into the Reef Rescue Program, which enables the farmers to reduce the runoff of nutrients and chemicals into the reef, and there's evidence of effectiveness of that through the second reef plan. The strategic environmental assessment is progressing well and will pick up the matter of future port development. The Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority and the Queensland Government are both making progress in this complex technical challenge across this very, very large property. The Queensland Government's undertaking community consultation on their future planning regulations and have recognised and stated their commitment to protecting the value of the reef. When this work is completed, the Australian Government will assess whether the measures are adequate, and we expect the draft reports to be available later in the year so that we can meet the committee's timelines from the decision of 2012. In preparing for this work, the Australian Government's developing the framework for the Sustainable Development Plan. We've also issued policy guidance to embed consideration of outstanding universal value into our regulatory framework. The World Heritage Centre has been more fully advised of the further additional work on aesthetic and geological features of the property. We've also substantially progressed the independent review of the Port of Gladstone, undertaken negotiations to expand the particularly sensitive sea areas in the Coral Sea through the North East Shipping Management Plan, and as has been stated, there has been one wharf approved within an existing port area over the past 12 months. We've been actively progressing the recommendations of last year's meeting, and this is a very challenging and difficult piece of work to pull together, but we're very proud of the progress that's been made. We're strongly committed to achieving success and appreciate the assistance of committee members in this regard. Thank you.
So thank you for your clarification. But I'd like to ask the delegation from Germany and Iraq, you see, having raised the question. So can you be satisfied with the comment? Yeah, please. Germany first and Iraq after.
Thank you. Thanks to the Australian Government for this clarification, which addressed a broad range of questions going beyond coastal development and water quality. We assume that the water quality issue is on a good way. Still, as you said, the strategic assessment is about to come. There are ongoing, as the World Heritage Centre reported, there are, I don't know how many you said, applications for development proposals on the way. So I think there is an issue about ongoing coastal development in that site, and I would like to see that reflected in the decision, and maybe with the help of the rapporteur we'll find a formulation which reflects that. This is the wish. Thank you.
Merci et j'invite l'Irak.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. أعتقد أن هذه التوضيحات هي كافية، وكانت هناك كثير من الاستفسارات أعتقد وضحتها الدولة العضو. شكرا جزيلا.
La Suisse qui veut prendre la parole, s'il vous plaît.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous remercions aussi l'État d'Australie pour les précieuses informations, mais nous soutenons l'Allemagne dans le cadre des développements côtiers. Merci.
Je pense que c'est le temps pour passer à l'adoption de la décision. No, I invite you to adopt the draft decision 37,7B10. Ah oui, je n'ai pas invité les rapporteurs. Rapporteur, vous avez la parole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As was requested by our members of the committee at the first place, Germany, Serbia, Switzerland, we took back the part of the number 6 that was deleted and put it again in the. Can I please have it on the screen? And I would read for you number 6, new with as amended, notes with concern the limited progress made by state party in implementing key requests made by committee decision 36,7B8 and the recommendation of the March 2012 joint World Heritage Center IUCN reactive monitoring mission, as well as ongoing coastal development on the reef, and urges the state party to strengthen its efforts in order to fully implement the committee's requests and mission recommendations that have not yet or only partially being implemented, including by making commitments to. Thank you.
Merci. This is the only amendment, so we can proceed to the adoption of the whole text. I did not see objection, so I declare the document 37.7b10 adopted.
No, 7.10 revised, adopted.
Yeah, okay. Revised.
Mr. Patrick, just say Mr. Patrick for the next session, for the next property. Oh, India.
I now give the floor to India.
Thank you, Chair. It is our letter, India's letter, which has opened out a number of properties for discussion. If you would recall, if the committee would recall, that a large number of properties and sites were proposed to be past the draft resolutions without discussion. Let me take you back to 2011 and Paris, where there is a decision of the committee that the ordinary cycle of reporting would be 2 years, unless there is some known or demonstrated urgency. So all of the sites that we requested were actually where the World Heritage Center or the draft resolution asked for reporting in 2014. And that's why we asked for it. The point was also made by the Russian Federation that reporting or coverage by the committee in 2014 does not really give state parties, in most cases, sufficient time, because in a couple of months they will have to give the report. Now that's the background of the resolution. Chair, Honourable Chair, we have had informal consultations with IUCN, with many of the states parties, and I would like, and I think it will speed up the work of the committee, to indicate to you that of the properties requested for discussion by the letter from India, I would like to give you a list of properties or sites that can go through without discussion. And if you allow me, Chair, I'd like to read them out so that we do not spend time on that. I presume I can read them out. The Pirin National Park in Bulgaria, the Grossmont National Park in Canada, the primeval beach forests of, Slovakia, Germany, and Ukraine, Spain, the Donana National Park, Panama, the Coiba National Park, St. Lucia, the Pitons Management Area, and of course Malawi, the Lake Malawi National Park. So with your permission, I'm suggesting, and subject to confirmation by IUCN, that these be cleared without discussion. The other properties, of course, would be opened for discussion because it is not clear to us or to the state party why they were listed in the first place in something that is not in agreement with the committee's own decision. Thank you, Chair.
Oui, merci beaucoup pour son excellence l'ambassadeur de l'Inde. Je pense que nous laissons à l'UICN, parce que l'UICN a préparé en liste, voyez, et a indiqué les couleurs différentes pour dire que les sites qui doivent être discutés et les sites qui passent sans discussion. Aujourd'hui, il y a la suggestion de son excellence ambassadeur de l'Inde de retirer un sign list du couleur qui signifie qu'il y a discussion, oui, pour passer à l'ensemble des discussions. Voyez. Donc je demande au CDN de prendre ça en considération. Et aujourd'hui, j'invite M. Patry de continuer l'agenda, s'il vous plaît.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Donc, on continue. We continue with Lorenz National Park. This property in Indonesia. Lorenz National Park is on the island of New Guinea and is amongst the largest terrestrial properties on the World Heritage List. It ranges from wet tropical forests at sea level to Arctic-like alpine grasslands at altitudes of over 4,500 meters. It's quite an exceptional site, as all our properties are. The state party did not submit the requested state of conservation report until 24th of May in this case, just a few weeks ago. And for this reason, there is now new information to provide to the committee, and hence a revised draft decision. Most significantly, the state party indicates that the road project through the property has been approved by the central government, but that construction beyond what had already been built has not yet begun due to ongoing negotiations over the text of the road-related cooperation agreement between local and central governments. Approval for road construction appears to have been granted without the benefit of a strategic environmental assessment of transportation needs and options for the region, as had been requested by the committee last year. So in view of this additional information, the World Heritage Center and IUCN are indeed proposing a revised draft decision, which has been distributed to you this morning. Monsieur le Président, IUCN has further comments, if you allow.
S'il vous plaît.
Thank you, Chair. IUCN notes that road construction in the property has already been noted as a possible vector for disease that is affecting trees in the area, though the exact causes of this disease are currently being investigated by the state party. Furthermore, the state party noted in its report that potential negative impacts from the road include encroachment, illegal logging, illegal mining, and poaching, and that it could lead to floods and landslides. In addition, IUCN notes that the possible fragmentation of the continuous ecological transect from snow-capped mountains to a tropical marine environment is likely to have important ecological consequences. Therefore, IUCN and the World Heritage Center recommend a reactive monitoring mission to the property to assess the extent of road construction impact to date and to assist the state party in developing a conservation strategy for the property. Thank you, Chair.
I now open the floor for comment. The floor to India.
Thank you, Chair. I think there are two principles that we need to observe. In this case, as has been pointed out, it is one of the largest, most complex, most wonderful properties. And the state party, I have been informed, and I hope that they will be given an opportunity to provide this factual information, has actually provided the information. It's taken a long time. It's a difficult area. I would suggest that we simply note the information provided by the state party. This is not a place to regret. This is not a place to castigate. So may I suggest that we note that the state party has provided the information, the second half of the para. Secondly, my understanding, and I look to IUCN and the state party to confirm this, that the road actually passes outside of this very large property. It's a difficult area. It's an area that is in many cases pristine, primeval. It's an area that is difficult to administer. Also, there are local groups in there who would require to be consulted. So may I suggest that we give credit to the state party for the process that they have initiated. for the work that they have done. The substance of the decision, which is to submit a state of conservation report by February 2014, in these circumstances, my fear is that this may not be possible, given the scale of the property, given the need for consultation. I would welcome a clarification from IUCN that we can actually take this to 2015. Lastly, and we went through this discussion yesterday of not preempting what the committee is going to do in future. The confirmation or proposed inscription on the list of danger in a future session of the committee is not the subject of a decision of this session of the committee. I would request that IUCN and the State Party provide clarifications on this.
So I ask the State Party or Indonesia if la delegation would like to give clarification. Floor, sir. Indonesia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we would like to thank the committee member for giving us the opportunity to clarify, and we also would like to thank the IUCN and the committee for their recommendations. Basically, the government of Indonesia acknowledges and respects the concern of the committee over the proposed road project, and Indonesia continuously works to find the appropriate road technology that would not bring the negative impact to the outstanding universal value of the Lawrence National Park as a World Heritage Site. Let me assure the members of the committee that it is of the Indonesia's interest to preserve our nature for our own future generation. Nonetheless, Indonesia could not evade its responsibility to provide basic needs to its people, whoever and wherever they are. Indonesia is confident that this committee will decide wisely and thoroughly on the matter. Indonesia stands ready to assist and work with the committee and its member. In this regard, we welcome the committee proposal to undertake reactive mission, and we hope that this will come up with better solution toward the preservation of the Lawrence National Park Heritage Site without neglecting the human dignity of the people living within the land. We also would like to thank distinguished delegates of India for his recommendation to bring this matter into 2015 due date, if possible, since the consultations with the other stakeholders who made this proposition is taking a very lengthy discussions. We also would like to underline that based on your draft decisions, there are two proposed roads, and the other one that has been mentioned by the distinguished delegates of India is actually on the outside of this national park. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the delegation of Indonesia for the clarification. Now I'd like to hear from IUCN if you have some additional comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thanks also to the distinguished delegate of India for his comments and the request for clarification. There are, in fact, two roads that are mentioned also in the State of Conservation report. One of those roads has partially been built already into the property and is planned to continue through part of the property. The other road, as the distinguished delegate of India noted, is in fact outside the property, as has also been just confirmed by the state party. As to the other point raised by the distinguished delegate of India, the original draft decision requested for a report back in 2014 because there had not been a state party report. The state party report was eventually submitted on the 24th of May and confirmed that the road construction will go ahead, hence confirming the concern that is raised in the State of Conservation report. We therefore consider that a mission should visit this property for the reasons I explained before. And this mission was also discussed with the state party. If the mission does take place, if the committee decides to request for a mission, then there should also be a report back to the committee in 2014. Thank you, Chair.
Merci beaucoup, le représentant de EUCN. Je pense que le rapporteur a quelque chose à dire encore. Oui, Andy avant.
Thank you, Chair. Those very valuable clarifications. So I understand that the state party would invite a reactive monitoring mission, which is what the IUCN has asked for. I understand that the report would be available, I hope, in 2014. I don't think there is a need for the state party now to submit a state of conservation report by 1st February. I presume the reactive monitoring mission would cover that. I presume that all of the paragraphs which presume that the state party has not acted would be removed from the draft resolution, and we would have a kinder, gentler resolution. I presume that the reference to potential listing on the list of danger in 2014 would be removed. Thank you, Chair.
Merci, Excellence Ambassadeur de Lang. Je pense que le rapporteur a quelque chose à expliquer, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to have a text on the screen, please, of draft decision. I will present the changes that were presented by India. In paragraph 3, instead of regrets, we put takes note. And then please go to the paragraph 11. So instead of 1st February 2014, it was 2015. And the proposal of India is to delete the end of the paragraph that was bolded. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Zelen reprend la parole, s'il vous plaît.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous voulons souligner que, comme a dit l'IUCN, il y aura une mission qui est favorablement accueilli par l'État d'Indonésie, qu'on remercie pour les informations et pour cette ouverture. Donc, le rapport en 2014 est justifié. La situation est urgente. Je vous rappelle, notre discussion en avait L'urgence est bien avérée. 2014 est donc à retenir pour le rapport. De plus, on sait très bien que la construction de routes de cette importance a un potentiel de mettre en danger la survie de populations animales et donc aussi le fait d'envisager de mettre ce site qui est reconnu pour sa biodiversité sur la liste du patrimoine en danger si la situation n'évolue pas, ou d'en discuter l'année prochaine, ce qui n'est pas très difficile, et à retenir aussi. Merci.
Thank you very much for the comment. I now give the floor to Estonia.
Thank you for the floor. We also think that it's important to observe the situation closely, and we think it's necessary that the committee would discuss the subject next year, because we don't know what will be the results of the mission. Therefore, we consider it's important to provide a new state of conservation report in 2014. Thank you.
Thank
you, Chair. I have not understood. There is a reactive monitoring mission that will take place. It will give its report to the committee. Why do you want two things? A state of conservation report from the state party and the reactive monitoring mission? I think the reactive monitoring mission is a stronger measure. Secondly, there is an issue here. There are two sides of the island, and there happen to be people living on both sides. There is no way that you cannot provide communication, that you cannot provide access, that you cannot provide a basic standard of life and living. There has to be a way in which the needs of the people and the need to preserve and protect the outstanding universal value, both are being catered for. Thirdly, the point that it could come to the list of danger, of course, but it could not also come to the list of danger. Why are we preempting this? Why are we putting words that are not necessary and words that do no credit? I think there is a great deal of synergy between what IUCN is saying and what the state party is saying. I think we should respect that. And therefore, may I suggest that we delete the references to potential list in danger. That would apply to any property, to every property on the 1,000 or so that we have. Secondly, if there is a reactive monitoring mission, why are we asking the state party again? You received the information 3 weeks ago. You want them to make another state of conservation report? Then why have the reactive monitoring mission? Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you for the comment. I now give the floor to Germany. Yeah?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As far as I understand, the committee makes up its mind and its discussion on the basis of a report, the so-called State of Conservation report, which is delivered here in the documents we're having in front of us. And usually these reports build on two things. Well, first of all, on the State of Conservation report delivered by the state party, and secondly, if it happened, a mission. So I, as a committee member, would like to see a decision based on both in the next year, a report by the state party and the mission, because this is two different things. One is the information coming from the state party, and we had lots of discussions here where we want to ensure that the state party can have their say. So I think the report is a very important measure in this process. Thank you.
Si il n'y a pas. Donc, j'invite le rapporteur de continuer votre présentation.
Respected Chair, 3 weeks ago you received information from the state party. As we have seen, you want them to prepare in 6 months another state of conservation report? Are we not stretching this? Is there no information that will come afresh? Can we ask the IUCN whether they think that the reactive monitoring mission would provide an adequate basis for a decision by the committee, or whether you want yet another state of conservation report to be prepared by the state party? I think this is a matter of objective concern. What is the fresh information that the state party will give in the next few months, which it has not given in the last 3 weeks?
You have the floor. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I think the intention with these decisions, which are standard language to request the input from the state party, is that whether there is a mission or not, the mission is is ultimately advice given to this committee by IUCN, or if it's a joint mission by IUCN and the World Heritage Centre. So I think the intention of the paragraph is to have the opportunity for the state party to provide its own report to the normal deadline, which would be fed into the state of conservation report that would be considered next year. So the mission report we try to always undertake to a high standard, and we would hope it would give a very good basis to the committee to consider matters, but it cannot be the view of the state party. It's the report which you would receive from IUCN in this instance. So I think the point for the committee to consider is how it would wish the state party to provide input to a report that would be considered next year. And if that clarifies for the distinguished delegate, I think that's the intention of the paragraph. Thank you.
Je voudrais demander Lang, est-ce que c'est satisfaisant?
Yeah. Chair, I think we need to turn to the state party. There are many ways in which state parties can provide information. And I presume that if a reactive monitoring mission or any mission went, the state party would provide information. After all, it's the state party which is inviting the mission, making the arrangements, facilitating them, allowing them, enabling them to engage with local stakeholders. So let us not get pedantic. Let us not get pedestrian. I think this is a sovereign state government. I think it is entitled to the respect that any sovereign state government would have. Could I ask, through you, the state party to respond to this issue of whether they feel that they would provide the information to the state party or write a letter to the World Heritage Centre? Thank you, Chair.
Merci. Est-ce que l'Indonésie veut faire quelques commentaires?
Thank you, Chair. I think what has been mentioned by distinguished delegates of India is very clear. We already stated earlier that we invite the reactive monitoring mission to come to Indonesia. And basically the issue of the content of that report will basically not very much different. So we will give it the decision to this committee for which one is going to be deal with. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair, if I might intervene, just to help this out. A reactive monitoring mission goes, it takes some time to go, it takes some time to make its recommendations for IUCN, for the World Heritage Centre to review them, to absorb them. All of this will happen, and then you want the state party in the remaining period, which could be days before the 1st of February, to submit its report based on what the reactive monitoring mission is saying. This is not fair. This is not enough time. And the state party is saying that we've invited the mission. We have given our views. If there are any further views, we'll give them. I think you have to take a realistic view of this. I don't expect the reactive monitoring mission, given the conditions in this part of the country post-monsoon, to be able to go there, to report, to meet, to review, to give its recommendations back to the state party before October or November, and then in weeks, in days, you want the state party to respond.
So I think I'm thinking what should be the solution now. You see, if we can propose 2015, so I ask the committee, you see, if so, we can raise the hand, I think, a little bit. Everybody agree, yeah? No.
On what?
What is that? What did it? That means the next report, the next report of the state party will be in the 2015.
Sorry, I just want to clarify two things. We are talking about two things. We are talking about a state party report for 1st of February, which there seems to be some interest in and maybe some consensus to putting it 2015. And we are talking about that the next committee in 2014 will consider what comes out of the mission, right? Is this what we are doing? Then, okay.
Right, so
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Si on veut discuter l'année prochaine de ce cas, il faut laisser la possibilité à l'État partie de s'exprimer, et ça fait à travers le rapport. Donc, par le dialogue, il faut laisser à l'État partie la possibilité de nous donner ce rapport en 2014, même si très court, mais un rapport est nécessaire. Merci.
Please, vous avez la parole.
ثانك يو شكرا سيد الرئيس. نحن نعتقد بأن توجه النقاش قد وصل إلى مرحلة من التوافق على إرسال بعثة للمتابعة وعلى إعطاء الدولة فرصة لرفع تقريرها في 2015. يعني حتى لو رفعت لجنة المتابعة تقريرها في 2014 فإن الدولة العضو لا زالت بحاجة لهذا الوقت حتى تنفذ مقترحات لجنة المتابعة. فنحن نؤيد الاقتراح المعروض في إعطاء الدولة فرصة ل 2015 وأعتقد أن النقاش وصل إلى هذه المرحلة. شكرا.
Merci beaucoup. Est-ce qu'il y a les autres commentaires? l'Irak, vous avez la parole.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. نحن نعتقد أن إعطاء وقت كافي لإندونيسيا لتحضير الملف وحبذا يكون في 2015. نؤيد اقتراح الهند لأن 6 أشهر غير كافية لإعطاء مزيد من الإيضاحات. كما قال موسم الأمطار والصعوبات لن تسمح لهم بإعطاء وقت كافي. شكرا.
Merci beaucoup. J'ai constaté que la plupart, vous voyez, la plupart d'entre nous sont d'avis de donner à l'Indonésie, vous voyez, un peu de temps, c'est-à-dire le rapport, soumettre le rapport en 2015 et la mission de suivi sera faite en 2014. Quelque chose comme ça. Nous pouvons décider comme ça. Allemagne, encore une fois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We may take this decision, but the committee should be aware that in this case, the committee will next year base its decision on the mission, and the state party will not have the possibility to give its view separately. I mean, we wouldn't like to give the state party this opportunity, but if the majority of the committee is of a different view, we would not object. But I only want to highlight this fact. Thank you.
S'il vous plaît.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We understand the views of the other state parties of wanting to give more time to the state party to submit the report in 2015, but if we change the request of the state party for 2015, we would also have to change the part of examination by the committee at this 38th session. In that case, it would have to be 39th session. Otherwise, the proposal as it stands now, it's not consistent.
Si, encore une fois, j'invite Estonie de prendre parole.
Thank you for the floor. We see no reason why state party couldn't express its views on the matter next year, and we also think it's important for the committee to have state parties' views. So there's no need to postpone it. Thank you.
Avant de donner la parole à UAE et Mali, je voudrais demander l'avis de State Party d'Indonésie. Alors, comme il y a les demandes d'avoir le rapport de l'État parti en 2014. Alors, je demande à l'Indonésie de faire un peu de commentaires sur ça.
Thank you, Chairman. I think our delegation already mentioned during our intervention that when we prepare for the report, we have to see the fact and reality at the field. So it will take some time to get all the data on this issue, and we believe that during the visit of the reactive mission, we will work together instead of doing separate ways, and this material could be also done as we know it if the reactive mission is coming to Indonesia. So I would suggest that and tend to agree with the distinguished delegates from UAE, Iraq, and India on this matter. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup de votre avis positif. I give the floor to United Arab, please.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. نحن لا تغيير في موقفنا، فقط أنا أتفهم ما طرحه مندوبي ألمانيا وسويسرا. هي مسألة منطقية، أنه هل يقدم تقرير لجنة التقصي في 2014 أم نؤجله إلى 2015. لكن من حيث المبدأ نحن متفقون معهم على إعطاء الفرصة للدولة العضو. لذلك إذا كان من المقبول أن تحيط لجنة التقصي علما في الدورة القادمة عن مضمون تقريرها أو ما عملته مع الدولة العضو من باب الإحاطة، فهذا ممكن. وإذا كان رؤي أن من الأنسب تأجيله إلى 2015 أعتقد أننا متفقون من حيث المبدأ. شكرا.
Merci. Je donne la parole à la Mali.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, la délégation malienne est entièrement d'accord à ce qu'un rapport soit fourni en 2015, mais on souhaiterait quand même un minimum de garantie. C'est quoi? C'est demander à l'État parti d'inviter une mission de suivi au moins en 2014. D'inviter l'État parti, demander à l'État parti d'inviter une mission. Voilà. Au cours de l'année 2014, pardon. 2014, merci.
Merci. Je donne la parole à Sénégal.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Après avoir écouté l'honorable représentant de l'Indonésie, nous n'avons plus de commentaires à faire et nous sommes de son avis.
Si la délégation russe, vous avez la parole.
Уважаемые коллеги, здесь просто нужно по тексту внимательно посмотреть, потому что если мы говорим, что представить отчет на 38-ю сессию, на 39-ю в 2015 году, значит и все остальное должно быть в 2015 году. Просто внимательно по тексту пройтись. Спасибо.
Si avant de donner la parole au rapporteur, UICN demande la parole, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you, Chair. It's just to clarify, I think the point raised by the UAE, and it's now been captured by the rapporteur. So as far as the timescale is concerned for the reactive monitoring mission, that might be carried out this year or it might be carried out early next year, and it would be possible, working with the good cooperation with the State Party, who I see are nodding to me, that we could bring a report from that process to the committee's next session in 2014. So I see the scribes have caught that. And then if the committee so wishes, it would be a logical process to defer the State Party report until 2015. It's a slightly unusual process, but if that's the committee's wish, at least the decision now has a logical flow to it, and we would understand how to implement it. And if the committee and the State Party are content that that gives a reasonable basis to provide a report next year, then of course we can proceed in that way. Thank you, Chair.
Merci à UCN. Now, je pense que nous sommes assez clairs pour que le rapporteur présente la nouvelle version corrigée. S'il vous plaît, le rapporteur.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je voudrais présenter la solution qui reflète vos discussions. Donc, si on a bien compris, le comité voudrait discuter les résultats de la mission en 2014 à sa prochaine session, ce qu'on a mis à la suite de demandes de mission. Et à la fin, si vous pouvez aller au dernier paragraphe, je prie le secrétariat. Et à la fin, on a respecté le vœu de l'État parti et de beaucoup de pays membres du comité qui accordaient une date plus avancée. Ça veut dire en 2015, on va discuter le rapport de l'état de conservation. Merci.
Yes, vous avez Laparo.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask you to show the point 9, Article 9. I will speak in English because you see the English text. I would say that it's very strange formulation to assist the state party with developing and conservation strategy that will ensure the conservation and strict protection of the properties OUV, and to make a recommendation concerning the possible inscription of the property. What for? We put this phrase here. If you will see that this property has to be inscribed, you will give this recommendation. But to make it in the draft, in the decision, is a little bit too much, in my opinion. And for examination of the world at its 39 session. And 39th session in 2015.
Or to rapporteur.
Excuse me. We would like the committee express its will to discuss next year the results of the mission. So that's why we put here 38. And when it's about a report of the state of conservation, then it's 39. Okay? Thank you.
With the changes, we are in a position to adopt it. Okay, no more comment. I declare the item number 37, 7B, 13 Rev adopted.
Proceeding further, the Minister of Mali is here. And
I invite him to speak.
Yes.
I think yesterday we did discuss the situation in Mali, but His Excellency, the Minister from Mali, was not here. Now, Excellency, the Minister of Culture from Mali is here. And I think it is very interesting, you see, for all of us to listen to his comment about the situation about the on Mali. So I invite Excellency, the Minister from Mali, to take the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le sous-directeur général de la culture de l'UNESCO, représentant Madame la directrice Irina Bokova, Monsieur le directeur du Centre du patrimoine mondial, Mesdames et Messieurs, honorables distingués membres du Comité du patrimoine mondial, chers participants, permettez-nous tout d'abord de remercier Monsieur le Premier ministre du Cambodge pour l'invitation faite à notre endroit en vue de participer à cette session, notre session. Mesdames et Messieurs, il y a un an, lors de la 36e session de votre comité tenue dans la ville historique de Saint-Pétersbourg, mon prédécesseur, Madame le ministre de la Culture, Diallo Fadima Touré, vivait avec vous des moments de grandes émotions avec la destruction programmée des mausolées de Tombouctou inscrits sur la liste du patrimoine mondial. Des actes de vandalisme qui ont été commis sur le patrimoine au nom du djihad et qui n'en est pas un parce que les populations de cette partie du Mali ont connu l'islam depuis au moins le XIe siècle. L'université de Sankoré, qui a accueilli plus de 25 000 étudiants venant du nord et du sud, ne dispensait-elle pas déjà l'éducation islamique? Les nombreux manuscrits dont certains sont perdus à jamais ne témoignent-ils pas du rayonnement de la culture islamique dans cette région entre le XIVe et le XVIe siècle? Tombouctou, Bilal al-Soudan, a été martyrisé par des hommes se réclamant d'un islam fondamentaliste. Tombouctou a été, est et sera toujours une ville pieuse, une cité médiévale de rayonnement culturel car, dit-on, le sel vient du nord, l'or vient du sud, mais la parole de Dieu, les contes jolis, les choses savantes, on ne les trouve qu'à Tombouctou. Malheureusement, cela n'a pas suffi pour épargner la cité mystérieuse et comme un proverbe du delta intérieur du fleuve Niger le dit, quand la mémoire va chercher du bois mort en brousse, elle ramène le fagot qui lui plaît. L'islam n'est en fait qu'un prétexte. Il s'agissait véritablement d'une guerre d'occupation imposée par des groupes soi-disant djihadistes pour créer et organiser un espace propice au trafic d'armes et de stupéfiants, avec comme finalité le développement d'un nid terroriste sur la base des crimes organisés visant à réduire les espaces occupés par d'autres groupes humains qui aspirent à la paix, rien qu'à la paix, à la liberté et au bien-être culturel et social. Cette partie du Mali qui a été occupée par des individus venus d'ailleurs devrait servir de base pour réduire fondamentalement les libertés et étouffer les identités culturelles des communautés, gage d'un monde épris de paix et de justice, bâti sur une base de compréhension de la diversité des expressions culturelles. Saint-Pétersbourg a été à l'origine de la mobilisation de la communauté internationale et de tous les peuples épris de paix et de justice pour stopper des desseins apocalyptiques des terroristes. L'appel lancé en juillet 2012 à la place Pierre-le-Grand a amorcé la lutte implacable contre la folie meurtrière et l'acharnement aveugle d'obscurantistes contre des biens culturels témoins matériels de la grandeur de l'histoire et des civilisations de notre pays et de la sous-région sahélo-saharienne. Vous comprendrez dès lors, Mesdames et Messieurs, les enjeux territoriaux du patrimoine culturel et la place de celui-ci dans le fondement des valeurs humaines. Le patrimoine, c'est bien des ressources naturelles et culturelles, mais c'est aussi et fondamentalement des valeurs inestimables et pas de simples produits marchands. Au nom du gouvernement du Mali, je voudrais dire merci à tous ceux d'entre vous qui, de façon anonyme, ont contribué à la lutte contre l'obscurantisme, le terrorisme et le narcotrafic, considérés comme des ennemis jurés de la protection et la promotion des biens du patrimoine de l'humanité. L'occupation des régions du nord du Mali par des terroristes a fait subir au patrimoine et à l'identité culturelle des communautés locales des dégâts incommensurables. Des édifices multiséculaires, témoins matériels de civilisation, d'histoire et d'art ont été saccagés. Le patrimoine immatériel a été altéré et les populations détentrices meurtries dans leur chair et âme. Imaginez une ville comme Tombouctou sans la fête du Maouloud, organisée annuellement pour célébrer la naissance du prophète Mohammed, paix et salut sur lui. Les travaux d'entretien des monuments en terre ne se faisaient plus parce que les manifestations de réjouissance populaire liées aux travaux annuels d'entretien sont eux aussi proscrits. Quand les murs ne peuvent pas parler, alors ils se détériorent et s'écroulent. L'UNESCO, par le biais du patrimoine mondial, a contribué à résorber la crise au nord du Mali. C'est elle qui a soutenu l'adoption de la résolution 2100 votée par l'ONU à New York, et c'est elle qui se bat pour assimiler tout acte de destruction du patrimoine comme étant une atteinte grave à la dignité humaine et par conséquent un crime contre l'humanité. Permettez-moi, mesdames et messieurs, d'exprimer la reconnaissance du Mali à la France pour son engagement salutaire auprès du peuple malien et de son patrimoine culturel sauvé in extremis de la furia destructrice des terroristes et des intégristes religieux de notre âge. La France est aux côtés du Mali pour sauver et réhabiliter, valoriser les éléments de son patrimoine. En témoigne la grande mobilisation faite lors de la conférence internationale organisée en février dernier au siège de l'UNESCO à Paris au profit du patrimoine malien sous l'égide de l'UNESCO avec la collaboration du gouvernement de la France et du gouvernement du Mali. L'adoption d'un plan d'action qui a connu un début d'exécution suite à l'organisation d'une mission conjointe d'évaluation des dégâts à Tombouctou, effectuée par des experts maliens et internationaux. Cette première session a été couronnée par la tenue d'un séminaire national sur la protection renforcée du patrimoine culturel et les manuscrits anciens organisé le 8 juin 2013 à Bamako. Le Mali est très motivé pour mettre en œuvre le plan d'action et assurer du soutien de la communauté internationale. Je ne saurais terminer mon propos sans réitérer mes sincères remerciements au peuple cambodgien, à Monsieur le Premier ministre du Royaume du Cambodge pour la qualité de l'accueil réservé aux participants à la présente session et la grande mobilisation autour du patrimoine mondial. Je souhaite enfin un plein succès à la suite de vos travaux. Vive le patrimoine mondial et la convention qui les régit pour que vive l'humanité. Je vous remercie.
Mes grands hommages à Monsieur le ministre. Oui. Je pense que nous avons un peu de temps, oui, pour continuer notre travail de ce matin. Et j'invite Monsieur Patry, oui, pour faire la présentation sur la prochaine propriété, s'il vous plaît.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. We turn now to East Rennell on Solomon Island, in the Solomon Islands. East Rennell is a small forest site located on a small island. Natural heritage experts will recognize that by its very nature, this site's OUV is permanently vulnerable. The property's statement of outstanding universal value approved by the committee just last year indicates that logging operations in the west side of the island could have severe adverse impacts on the property's forests. The state party has indicated that it had no power to prevent or halt applications for commercial logging on customary owned areas when these are compatible with the Logging Practices Code. In the absence of any indication on how far current logging will proceed, and given that logging is already considered to be a threat to the property's OUV, the World Heritage Center and IUCN have concluded that the condition of ascertained potential danger, as per paragraph 180 of the operational guidelines, have been met. We recommend that the property be inscribed onto the list of World Heritage in Danger as a means to draw in necessary national and international support in resolving these issues. Monsieur le Président, IUCN has further comments if you allow.
With your permission, Chair. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. An IUCN reactive monitoring mission visited the property in October of 2012. The mission found that the property is not legally protected from future logging operations. The mission also noted that black ship rat had been observed in West Rennell, particularly where logging machinery was offloaded from ships. IUCN expresses serious concern that this invasive species will spread into the island's forests, where it will have a severe impact on native wildlife, including within the property. A January 2012 assessment of logging operations in West Rennell acknowledged major environmental impacts which would indirectly impact on the property's integrity through loss of island biodiversity and visual impact. IUCN considers that these issues in combination present a clear potential danger to the property's outstanding universal value in line with Para 180 of the operational guidelines. IUCN further notes that the property is under pressure from a range of other adverse impacts, including overexploitation of coconut crabs and other marine resources, climate change and deficiencies in management capacity. So we believe that the in danger listing will strengthen the ability to marshal international support to the property and more clearly define the necessary actions to conserve East Rennell's outstanding universal value. Thank you, Chair.
I'd like to open the floor for comment. Comment. Oui, je ne vois pas des manques. Oui, c'est Japon. C'est Japon, vous avez la parole.
Japan would like to ask the state party how they think this inscription on the danger list can be used if the state party or somebody who can represent them is in here.
Il y a la délégation de Solomon. Ah, yes. Yes, je donne la parole à la délégation de l'île de Solomon.
Thank you, Chair, for giving Solomon Islands this opportunity. Firstly, on behalf of the Solomon Islands government, I wish to express our appreciation for the Cambodian authorities for their wonderful hospitality. Chair, East Rennell was listed as a World Heritage Area in 1998 under Criterion 9 of the Convention. There are increasing pressures from logging on the adjacent areas to the property, invasive species, overharvesting of natural resources, and even climate change. Local communities over the past 17 years have faced threatening developments on the island of Rennell. However, thanks to the efforts made by various partners, stakeholders, which includes Solomon Islands UNESCO Office, Australian Government through Department of Sustainability and Environment, Lake Tengano World Heritage Site Management Committee, and the Rennell and Bellona Provincial Government, and the NGO partners, in this case, Live and Learn Environmental Education, and the courage of the communities residing within the property, East Rennell continues to carry the World Heritage flag. This has not been an easy task, we must admit. We have noted the recommendations by the esteemed committee and the advisory body, but we would like to emphasize the need to conduct a study on the impacts of developments carried out on the adjacent areas to the property's values. It has not been clear that the developments have in fact impacted to the values. There has not yet been a detailed scientific assessment of the impact of logging on West Rennell on the World Heritage values of East Rennell, and we would like to seek support to undertake this study. Chair, furthermore, Solomon Islands have taken, we believe, positive steps in ensuring that the protection of our World Heritage Area, The establishment of the Protected Areas Act 2010, with its Regulation 2012, gives, we believe, a firmer mechanism for World Heritage sites in Solomon Islands. We are working in close collaboration with local communities, local government, national stakeholders to seek practical measures of the new legislation to address imposing threats for the East Rennell property as stated in a SOC report 2013. We will be establishing a community-based monitoring program to monitor the state of conservation of the World Heritage values and any threats such as climate change. Chair, further developments in the Pacific region, such as the establishment of the Pacific Regional Hub and other Pacific sites and nominations, are encouraging, as our common challenges can be thought out together. We opt for a practical decision that recognizes the complexities of Reno Island's customary ownership and our realities. East Reno communities have chosen to stand against destructive developments within the site, but have limited control over how adjacent areas landowners in West Reno decide to use their resources. This is our challenge. In conclusion, we regret the decision to put East Reno property in the endangered list. However, if so, Solomon Islands is optimistic that East Reno challenges will take appropriate attention and support it needs. Chair, in addition, we like to think that the World Heritage Center should have also the appropriate capacity and means to assist the property maintain its credibility. Solomon Islands do hope for an improved report in 2014. With these few remarks, I thank you, Chair.
Merci la délégation de Solomon. J'aime demander la délégation du Japon, est-ce que cette explication est satisfaisante?
Yes. This site was once called a site on the list of forgotten. So I think this site needs a lot of help from the international community. That's all.
Si j'invite la délégation de langue de prendre parole.
Thank you, Chairperson. We commend the State Party for understanding the issues concerning this property. What we also understand is it's really the East Rennell, which is the property area, and the adverse impacts of logging in the West Rennell are at present not established. So we would just request that in the decision this part is taken care of, and we allow the State Party to actually assess the impact of logging in the Western Rennell. Thank you.
Il y a la demande d'ajouter la nouvelle idée. Je tourne vers IUCN de faire les commentaires.
Thank you, Chair. I think IUCN very clearly would wish to approach this in a constructive way to work with the State Party to address these issues. I think that the proposal to undertake an assessment of the impacts of logging in West Rennell is a sensible approach to clarifying exactly what impacts there may be on the outstanding universal values of the inscribed property. And I would just note that I think there are numerous avenues of support within the region to assist the State Party in that regard, including IUCN's regional office in Oceania. Thank you.
Merci, et je propose au rapporteur de présenter le texte.
I just want to point out that we had a slight amendment just in para 4. Please, draft decision on the screen. And we consider what has been said by India. So in para 4, instead of Rennell Island, we put East Rennell. And then in para 8, we had a request the State Party to undertake an assessment to ascertain whether ongoing, etc., because I don't need to read all to lose the time. I think State Party express in some ways support to the draft decision. Thank you.
The change, I think I'd like to propose the adoption. No more comment, no objection. So I declare the decision Decision 37.7B14 adopted. Oui, je pense que nous pouvons prendre la pause, oui, pour continuer à 2h30. Oui, pour continuer à 2h30 minutes. Oui. Donc, la session est adjournée.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just make some announcements. There are two side events. Wait a second, please. One is the signing ceremony for the UNESCO Panasonic Partnership Agreement by UNESCO's Director General and Panasonic Senior Managing Executive Director, which will take place in the West Wing foyer next to the plenary meeting to your right-hand side. Then you have World Heritage in Asia, the work of IUCN, at the advisory bodies room on the 4th floor from 1 o'clock to 2:15. And then you have the two working groups which have been established on Monday morning. The operational guidelines in the bureau room, which is the Champa room, at 12:30, which means now, and the budget group in the Champai room on the 3rd floor at 1:30. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.